There was once a point where Brawl Stars was seen as extremely free-to-play friendly and where there were no complaints about it. However, nowadays the discussion is a bit different, with people saying that Brawl Stars is becoming more pay-to-win, and we have recently even seen them starting to implement in-game ads for more rewards. However, we have also seen them just give us a ton of free rewards. So today I just wanted to go over the game currently, as well as the economy and progression system, to see just how free-to-play friendly the game is, since people have been saying it is becoming pay to win. So the first thing I want to really talk about is just the way you unlock the brawlers, since that is like one of the main progression things in the game. When it comes to the newer brawlers in the game, the way someone would unlock them the fastest is simply by just buying them from the shop for real money. This is something we saw that got introduced to the game a few months ago with the addition of Chuck, and since then we have just seen new brawlers being available to purchase for early access for real money. Now, this is a pretty crazy thing because people are essentially just paying to get a brawler a few days before it becomes available for free for everyone else, although they still have to work to unlock it through something like the Star Road or just hoping they get it out of a star drop. And it completely makes sense that everyone shouldn't just be easily able to unlock a brand new brawler, and they were always available for early access even before all of this. However, back then they were available for free, and that is like the main difference. In the past, you could complete some sort of challenge in order to unlock a brawler early, and these challenges were normally pretty hard, meaning not everyone got access to the brawler. This helped the game because it gave people something to do that had a pretty big reward, and it was also free, meaning that anyone really had a chance. Plus, it was just a whole lot more engaging than simply spending money. And don't get me wrong, I'm not really blaming Supercell for making early access brawlers cost money, since it is a pretty standard thing and what a ton of games do, and it just makes sense from a business point of view as it is just more money without really affecting too much. However, when it comes to Brawl Stars, the early access brawlers tend to be really strong and even overpowered in some cases, and that is what makes this a pay to win feature, since you can literally pay to get early access to a brawler that is just super strong and has some sort of big advantage. Now, according to Supercell, they don't make these brawlers overpowered on purpose. However, I think we all know that Supercell is doing this on purpose to boost sales, and it is definitely working and is one of the major reasons people are saying that the game is heading down a pay-to-win route. And I definitely do agree that this is a lot more pay to win compared to everyone having a fair chance with the challenges. But is this really that big of a problem? Well, I definitely don't think it is the end of the world, and the game isn't like unplayable or anything for a normal person if they don't buy the early access brawlers. It is very pay to win in nature, however in practice it isn't as big of a deal in my personal opinion. But anyways, the next factor to look at would just be the Brawl Pass, as that did receive a pretty big change starting at the beginning of this year. The Brawl Pass would be changed so that it was only purchasable with real money instead of gems like it was before. This is a change that would come as a big shock to the community because many players relied on just using gems to buy the Brawl Pass, since they could get gems for free over time and then get into a cycle where they just reuse the gems from the paid version of the pass to go and buy future passes. This was a system that really just worked great for the free-to-play players, since they were able to get the rewards and enjoy the pass every other month, and it was a nice balance to have in the game. But that obviously wouldn't work anymore with the Brawl Pass costing actual money, and that meant a ton of those free-to-play players weren't able to get the rewards they normally would have gotten, and that would obviously slow down progression a little bit. But on the other hand, through this change, the Brawl Pass would technically become cheaper, as the price to buy it with real money would be less than the equivalent for the gem price, so it was actually a good change for people that normally bought the gems for the pass, but for everyone else it did kind of suck. But was this change pay to win, or was it just something people didn't like? Well, I suppose making it so that people have to pay money to get a bunch of extra rewards and resources could be considered pay to win. However, you also need to remember that the Brawl Pass isn't actually an essential part of the game, and that you can progress normally by just playing the game and not buying the pass. So while the Brawl Pass definitely does have some pay to win elements, it definitely isn't as big of a problem as people made it out to be. But another factor to look at is also the overall progression system in the game, which is currently the Star Road. This is, in my opinion, the best progression system the game has ever had, as it is the most fair one and gives you the most opportunities, and it is definitely very free to play friendly. You know what you're going to be getting and know what to expect, and it isn't like the Brawl Boxes, which used to be the previous progression system, and while that system worked and made a ton of people happy, it was essentially dependent on luck and could be considered pay to win, as buying more boxes increased your chances of getting something good. So when you look at it from that perspective, then the game definitely does seem to be less pay to win now, as the main progression system is a lot more rigid. However, another thing to consider is also just the amount of free stuff we get in the game with all the events and things. Brawl Stars has always been known for just being pretty generous when it comes to offering free stuff inside of the game for the players through special events, and it definitely seems like they ramped that up over the last few months. For example, we recently had the Star Drops and Mega Boxes that were given to us for free, and then there was the Thumbs Up event that gave legendary Star Drops, as well as the 100 Star Drops event that had happened before that. And there have been a couple more events that just gave away even more stuff, and this is really just a lot more than what they were doing just a few years ago. This has been great for progression in the game because people are just getting free stuff for playing the game mostly normally, and it's not like they have to go out of their way in order to get these extra rewards. These events have just been good injections of rewards and progress for many players, and they have just been a good thing overall that help mitigate the effects of something like the Brawl Pass costing money. This is also most likely Supercell's way of adjusting for the fact that the early access brawlers are going to cost money, since the timings of both of these things is pretty close. So in this way, the game definitely isn't pay to win or anything like that, and instead it seems like the opposite, as they are just giving stuff away. But another thing to look at from the other point of view is the hypercharges, since they had really marked the beginning of people just starting to say that Brawl Stars was becoming pay to win, and this was with good reason. The hypercharges were just really strong at the beginning and also very expensive, and it was at the point where a lot of people just couldn't afford to get the hypercharges despite them being so good. It was either that or just putting a lot of other important stuff off to the side in order to pay for the hypercharges. This was most definitely like the game being pay to win, because only people with a lot of gold or just money could properly afford the hypercharges. But if we fast forward to now, then the whole hypercharge thing actually isn't as big of a deal, as most people have adjusted to them by now, and it's not like a massive burden how it was at the beginning. But finally, the last thing I want to talk about is just the fact that Supercell seems to be bringing the ads back. It seems like they may just be running smaller tests with a few players to see how it goes, but this really could just be the return of ads into the game, since they did actually exist before, but got removed because ads didn't really make much sense in such a high quality and successful game. But a thing to note about the ads is that you aren't forced to watch them and only have to do it if you want more rewards, which means there is a clear incentive for people to go out and do it. But this is a good design in my opinion, because it is just optional ads and doesn't really take much for Brawl Stars or the player to do, which means it is almost like free money for Supercell. Either way, it still does show how Brawl Stars is trying to maximize their revenue and how that is still a big part of the company, but I just don't think this actually affects the game or anything in any major way, so it doesn't seem to really be too harmful. But overall, we went over various important factors when it comes to money and progression in the game, and so far I don't really think the game is too pay to win. It definitely isn't as good as before, however it also is nowhere near as bad as something like Clash Royale. So in the end, I wouldn't say that Brawl Stars is pay to win, however there are certain cases where paying can really put you at an advantage, such as when buying early access brawlers. But anyways, that's it for this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next one.